You know, we all have that one friend, or maybe that friend is you, who, when their birthday comes around, just kind of shrugs. But what's really going on behind that casual, I don't care attitude? Well, today we're going to dig into the psychology of why some people are just completely indifferent about their own birthday.
So yeah, why is that? Why do some people genuinely treat what's supposed to be their special day like it's just another Tuesday on the calendar?
You've heard it a million times, I'm sure. That classic line, it's just another day. It's pretty much the official slogan for birthday indifference. But what if there's a lot more hiding behind those four little words?
And you see it play out, right? There's just no excitement, no big party plans in the works, and often a totally flat, neutral emotional reaction. For those of us who love a good celebration, it can be really, really puzzling.
Okay, so this is where things get super interesting. Psychology tells us this is rarely just some random preference. It's not like picking vanilla over chocolate. Nope, it's usually a clue pointing to some pretty complex thought patterns happening just under the surface.
This really breaks it down perfectly. On one hand, you've got that simple, casual statement, it's just another day. But the psychological reality? Well, that's a whole different story. We're talking about a potential defense mechanism, or maybe even a deep-seated personality trait. So, what's really going on? Let's get into it.
All right, let's pull back the curtain and take a deeper look at those hidden reasons that are so easy to overlook. So first up is this idea called emotional defense. A great way to think about this is it's like your mind has its own personal bodyguard. Seriously, it's this unconscious strategy that kicks in to shield you from things like disappointment or anxiety, and it's often shaped by our past experiences.
So, how does this bodyguard show up for a birthday? Well, by saying it's no big deal, a person can basically sidestep any potential disappointment. Maybe they had a birthday in the past that really let them down. Or maybe they just hate being the center of attention. That social anxiety is real. So treating it like any other day is a way to manage all those high expectations before they even start.
But hey, it's not always about dodging bad feelings. Sometimes it's about where you get your good feelings from. And that brings us to a totally different idea, internal validation. This is huge. It basically means your self-worth, your sense of value, comes from inside you, not from things like people praising you or throwing you a big party.
Think about it. If you have that strong internal validation, you don't need one specific day with balloons and cake to tell you that you matter. You already know it. So from that point of view, a big birthday bash might actually feel, well, kind of pointless, maybe even a little superficial. Because for you, that validation isn't a once-a-year thing, it's a 24/7 reality.
Okay, so with all this in mind, what's the takeaway? It really leads us to a whole new way of looking at this. The point here isn't to judge whether birthday indifference is good or bad. It's just to understand the why, to get what's really going on behind the scenes.
So, if there's one thing to remember, it's this. What looks like simple indifference on the surface is almost always a sign of a much deeper psychological pattern. It's a whole story about self-protection, about how we see ourselves, and about where we look to find our worth.
And this really applies to everyone. Maybe you're the person who's always said, it's just another day, but never really knew why. Or maybe you've got a friend or family member like that, and you just could never wrap your head around it. This is all about seeing that behavior with a fresh set of eyes, with more empathy and a lot more understanding.
And that really brings us to the final question, the one I want to leave you with. Now that we've kind of unpacked all this psychology, it's the perfect time to turn the question inward. So, what does your approach to your own birthday say about you?